Yo, crypto nation and mining family. Crypto nation and mining family. What's going on? Of course, like always, it's not financial advice. Yo, crypto nation and mining family. What's going on out there? So, if you guys didn't know, NVIDIA did their GPU technology conference. Nothing of it was consumer grade products. It looked like everything that they were talking about was for data centers and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's dig into it. So this was where you can go. I'll leave all the links in down below. If you guys would like to go through the videos and stuff like that. I'm not going to play it. That's a couple hours worth of videos I've already watched, just to kind of understand what I was looking at. This stuff happened a little bit earlier today, so if you wanted to be up at for Central Standard Time, it was like 6 a.m. They started releasing this stuff. I think it was like 6 or 7, something like that. I didn't see all of it as they were releasing it, but I did watch them all as of now. But there was like a series of like 8 videos. You can, like I said, I'll leave the links in down below if you guys would like to watch these. Very informative, very interesting stuff going on. So let's kind of dig into the tidbits. So for like their first video, they were talking about how they needed better and more reliable internet, with a better way to have like data centers communicate internally plus communicating outward. That's where they didn't just partner up, they acquired Mellanox so that they can get their gigabit speed switches that run all off of QSPF cables, which they're high-speed data cables that are a lot faster than plugging in any Ethernet cord into anything you've ever had before. I do have those for my FPGAs so that I can link them together and communicate at the high enough of a speed to make them relevant. And that's some of the things that they were going after whenever they acquired Mellanox, was that they were looking for a way to just speed up their data centers, because they are in essence trying to push the boundaries of how much data they can cram into one pipeline. And after they basically talked about how they were buying them out for their switches, their QSPF switches, which, oh my god, that thing just looks amazing. The amount of data that you could probably push through there. I don't know if you would have any personal gain for using something like that in a mining facility. I would love to test something like that out, but man, this equipment comes with a hefty freaking price tag. I'll get to that a little bit later on in the video. So, and then in their second video, they were talking about the RTX and NVIDIA Omniverse. So basically with this, they weren't talking about the RTX 3000 series. They are not coming out with that anytime soon. But what they did touch upon was DLSS. And even NVIDIA kind of did admit to it that the DLSS with ray tracing, first gen was quite blurry. So they came out with DLSS 2.0, and if you wanted to watch it, I mean, it looks phenomenal. You're talking like being able to see individual brush hairs on a paintbrush, proper shadowing, proper light reflection. So I mean, you're talking adaptive AI basically to be able to do something like this with a lot of accelerators onto the cores themselves. They have tons of teraflops on these things, and for gaming wise, this technology is going to push the envelope and make things look more realistic. I mean, here's like a little bit of an example. This is the computer program. I mean, look how realistic this is. I mean, you can tell a little bit, if you know what you're looking for, that some of this is digitalized. But man, from whenever I first started gaming, holy cow, we've come a long way. And to see shadowing, lighting coming through that shadowing because we have a shiny surface. The color dynamics on this stuff is, if you guys want to check this out, you should definitely watch the videos on this. It is actually really cool stuff. But you know, it's like they did improve the DLSS for ray tracing. That is really cool. Then they also were talking about for their third video. They started talking about Spark 3.0 data bricks. So basically, you're talking about the ability to map out DNA, being able to, you know, just tons of different mapping that you're able to do with this stuff. Some of this stuff, I mean, I'm not into the data centers, I'm not in the AI development, I'm a Bitcoin miner, but some of this stuff, I mean, the technology that we're seeing here on the enterprise grade equipment will start to slowly trickle down to consumer grade products. So some of the stuff that you're seeing with the enhanced coloring, the better shading, adaptive shading, so it's kind of adapting, okay, if I roll something over here, my light source is here, I've got to sit there and move it with it, which will just improve a lot of metrics. They are pushing the boundaries on how they're data collecting and all that good stuff. And then, I mean, that's pretty much like, you know, typical. I mean, pretty much data systems are already doing a lot of this stuff. They're just being able to speed it up, like by a margin of tenfold. So that is really cool. The fourth video that they were coming out, that they had released, was a recommender system. So what that is actually is that they take a full set of data from everybody surfing the web. If I buy X, most people who buy X will buy Y and Z. So they'll start recommending this stuff to you because they see people buying this and these other two things to come together. Or they'll buy this and then a few months later they buy this. So you're going to find that, like, if you start shopping for stuff, you're going to see more recommendations being popped up on there. So welcome to being barraged by ads trying to get you to buy things that they think that you're going to buy. At least at some point in your life, you might have a big chance of buying this. So they're with this recommender system that they've nicknamed under NVIDIA Merlin, is going to basically apply a new framework to make it easy to create personal experiences like this. We see some of that stuff, like if you got Facebook, all you got to do is talk about certain things with a Facebook app on your phone, and then Facebook starts to adapt that into what it shows you for ads in there. You're going to start seeing this with Google more often, other websites. I mean, heck, I bought one thing off of Jegs, and for the last week I've been getting nothing but barrage of commercials on YouTube, on any other of the websites that I go to, that are now suggesting that I go back to Jegs and buy some more stuff. So this problem is going to exponentially get worse with this next generation of AI that they're coming out with, guys. So definitely be careful with what you're shopping for if you don't want the world to know about it. And if you really don't want the world to know that what you're doing and all that good stuff, this will start to become the best time to make sure that you're using a VPN network and even an onion router. This way Not so much that you're trying to do something nefarious or illegal in any way, shape, or form, but just so that you don't have to deal with this adaptive AI that's going to be coming out as the next generation. So that's, pretty interesting. I mean, it's a dual-edged sword. So I mean, part of me goes, oh, that's kind of cool. If I buy some spark plugs, it's going to recommend some ignition wires. Oh, well, that's brain dead stuff. Recommend like items, but they're going to be like, oh, you bought some pens. Would you like to buy a laptop? Are you going to school? It's going to try to adapt out like that. Are you taking classes? So very interesting stuff that they're going to be coming out with the recommender systems with Merlin. The other thing that I think is kind of cool, I'm surprised that you don't have Marvel Comics having an issue with it, but they've got conversational AI nicknamed Jarvis. And Jarvis, with NVIDIA's Omniverse, will give you an adaptive AI conversation. Now, this goes into multiple areas, guys. And think about the ramifications on there. So you're going to have an interactive, it's going to be like Alexa or something like that, but it's going to be on your screen, maybe on your TV, where you're going to be like, Jarvis, what's the weather going to be like today? Or what's on my itinerary for the week? It's going to know you. It's going to be very personalized to who you are and all that good stuff. Kind of interesting stuff. If you are the person that does not mind having AI watching everything that you do. I mean, for some people who have the Google Home thing, and all that other crazy stuff that basically listens into your conversations while you're sitting at the house at all times. These are things that I don't have. I will never have this stuff, and if it comes into my house, I'm going to learn how to figure out how to turn that stuff off. Just because I don't need that constant barrage of them taking information from me. There's a point where you've got to have that disconnect. That's just me at that point. But at the same time, I really find this really kind of cool technology. That they've come along to where they have mapped out the human features. They understand how lips work. They understand how a smile is, blinking. So they can give you an experience of having an artificial person on a screen and be able to act just like you would. Laugh, smile, look sad, look concerned. It's like, so you'll feel more at ease talking with something like this. Now, talking about conversations with AI, think about you call up a call center. You're trying to deal with a warranty issue on said product, or you're calling up somewhere to complain about something that wasn't proper or was forgot about. This, that, and the other. There's going to be a point where it's going to be adaptive AI, and you might not ever know that it is AI. Because it's already kind of anticipating what you're saying, and it's going to talk to you not in a robotic voice. It's going to talk to you in a normal tone of voice with different pitch levels. So I mean, we're breaking away from that symbiotic roboticness that we all knew and understood from the 90s, 80s, and 90s. We all had that concept of what the future robots and the future AI would be, and now it's turned into a lot more. And they even came up with like this nifty little. Let me see if I can get it to come up here. But I mean, this is their first bit, and he sat there and Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, he sat there and was asking this thing a few questions, And what I found really interesting was, it was like, what's the hottest place? It was like, okay, told you. Then it was like, what's the coldest place? What was interesting about that is in the middle of it's telling it's the coldest place. If you see it, it looks like a raindrop, right? It froze to give the signification that it was cold. And that's something that, 10 years ago, we would have never thought that was something ultimately possible. It was like a scene out of, a sci-fi movie, Cool stuff. A little scared, just a little bit. If this is a character that's going to be on my computer, and all I have to do is be like, hey Jarvis, and it just pops up on my screen, and I'm able to interact with it. That just shows how much embedded that it's able to pick up my microphone, pick up my camera, and all that good stuff. So am I going to be unplugging my computer at night if they ever implement this into my PC? Probably. So I mean, it is very, very interesting stuff. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what it brings with the technology on that. After that, I'm kind of done with that stuff. Then, of course, what everybody was dying to hear about was Ampere. So NVIDIA finally has released Ampere. They just came out with Volta, and they're already replacing it with Ampere, which is going to have 10 times the performance. You're talking about being able to not only do speech recognition, but you can be like, they gave a presentation on what bird is this, and they showed Volta go through it, and then they did it with the new Ampere, and it was even faster and took from a bigger data set, which was really interesting. So it looks like with the Volta architecture, they can deal with 80 queries on Volta, and then with Ampere, it's going to be 500 queries. So we're talking right around a 10x gain on this. That is very impressive. This aspect I'm like really interested in, because this is where you're getting that adaptive AI from, being able to program in presets and then tell it to kind of teach it how to anticipate these presets. You're going to see this starting to be rolled out in all the data centers, and it's going to be done on the cheap. What they've been able to do with one server rack would have costed on Volta about $11 million that they're going to now be able to do for $1 million. That is amazing. And here is the new Ampere. All that gold goodness. So this thing is going to basically act more like having 7 to 8 GPUs all incorporated into one die. That is amazing. They're going to have next generation NVLink. Do not get that confused with what you can do on your GPUs currently. This is going to be a whole new system. So the NV switch is going to be high data throughput, like we've never seen, and it's going to be only for databases. It's not going to be on the consumer level in any way, shape, or form. Just because realistically, at our level, we don't need stuff to move that fast. At the data system level, they needed to move at lightning speed, because they might have 50,000 people trying to access that at the same time. So they need to be able to get that information out as quickly as possible to free up the amount of processing power for the next part. They have made the accelerators a lot better. Tensor cores. It's going to have 54 billion XTORs. The numbers are just huge. I mean, some of the stuff I don't really understand myself just because I don't play in a data center. I've got a few friends that do, like my man Gundy. So this is stuff that he's going to get to play around with and understand before this really starts to hit the consumer grade markets. And let me see here. Yeah, that one. And this is pretty much what they're packaging it into. So each one of these coolers up here is one of the Ampere GPUs. So we're talking, you know, the ability to act like 8 GPUs, have 56 instances. This is just amazing. And it's going to have, they're not using Intel on this, guys. They are not using Intel with it. NVIDIA is using AMD. In which one? They're using the dual, so two 64-core Rome processors. So they've got enough data throughput on the CPUs to not bottleneck off of it that like they would with an Intel. That's some of the reasons why they went with this, is that they were looking for high speed. The last few generations, they were noticing that they bottlenecked harder off the CPU than they even did off of the Volta architecture. And Volta architecture, as of right now, is state of the art, guys. So these things are going to be pretty wicked. Do I have the pricing on one of these? No. So this little model here is going to be, what is it, $199,000. So we're a fraction of the cost of last year's model. So I mean, if you bought a Volta server rack last year, man, I'd be kind of pissed off, knowing that you're buying that stuff and then they 10x the amount of output. I'm sure there was like some kind of technological breakthrough that finally happened that they were able to overcome, which is pretty nice. Then they've got on this little server rack so that it's got the communication outward. It's got 9 Mellon-X Connect X connectors, which will allow for 200 gigabytes a second network interface. Yeah, 200 gigabytes, dude. Again, I don't know if that would ever really like do anything for like mining wise, but man, that's cool as all get out, right? And then it's like, so we have the conversational AI, which is going to take out call centers. No need for anybody to ever be in a call center again with conversational AI, because they'll be able to just take care of it with one program. A lot more efficient. You ain't got to pay anybody, and that person stays online 24/7. So these companies will start getting 24/7 customer support, which will make it better for the end user to be able to get problems solved. That much I do like. The bad part of that is that you're going to eliminate a lot of jobs. So that aspect I have a small little issue with. Then the other thing that they're coming out with is edge AI and robotics. So you already see some of this in certain industries, like take for instance Amazon. I can go. I've got friends that work for Amazon, and they'll sit there, type into a computer, and in a little computerized pallet jack will come through, grab the pallet that you're looking for, set it down, and then you'll be able to pull product out of there. And then whenever you're done, you just type back into the computer, and that automated pallet jack comes back over, grabs the pallet, and goes and puts it away for you. We're going to start seeing more and more of this, guys, with the automation of everything that it's like everything being automated over the years. This is just another nail in the coffin that's going to start eliminating jobs out of factories and all this other good stuff. Because if I've got an AI forklift, I don't need a driver anymore. I just need a guy there that can repair it. And then eventually there'll be a point where even the repair guy won't be needed anymore. Now, I see pros and cons on that, guys. Some of the pros with that will be, order fulfillment should be technically a better, should be better at that point, but much better experience. Where, it's like, then you can go with that extra step. So now that you've pretty much put them all into the factories and eliminated all those factory jobs, you have a company like BMW that's going to be implementing a lot of this stuff even in their own factories. A lot of the automotive stuff is already automated. There's certain key things that a human being is pretty much the best thing that we have to finish a particular project. But the vast majority of the car build is done by robotics. It's something that's an intricate piece that maybe a robot can't get itself into yet. But I think there'll be a point where we won't see people in a factory. We'll just see a team of repairmen in a factory. We won't see anybody building cars. It'll just be people fixing the robots that build those cars. Will a human being be the one to test it? Maybe not. At a certain point, there's going to be no need for human interaction with anything. And talking about cars and not having human interaction, that brings it on to the next thing. I mean, we all know Tesla, right? Tesla is sitting there and trying to get autonomous vehicles going, right? So you can basically, turn around, have a conversation with your friends as you're going to work, or you're going to your favorite vacation spot. We are going to start seeing this being a reality, guys. And it looks like NVIDIA is definitely trying to get on board with all of that. I don't see autonomous vehicles really coming out all the way, not for a little while. We need to have better connection from your vehicle to basically the internet and satellites, so that we can properly map out the surroundings of the vehicle and where it's geographically located. The quicker they can implement those things, like along the roads, being able to stay connected to the internet, it'll make autonomous vehicles more of a reality than not. Eventually, we are going to be like, Demolition Man, the movie. If you guys haven't seen that, they've got, autonomous vehicles there. There's other movies out there that have autonomous vehicles. You don't see very many movies of the future where people are particularly driving. Or if they're driving, they're driving flying vehicles. It's like, wow. It's like my next question is, how much, once they make an autonomous vehicle, how far away are we from having flying vehicles that'll get us to our destination even faster? That's definitely a good question. What's your thoughts? Drop them in down below, guys, for sure. I mean, it's like, what do you guys think of of all this adaptive AI? Is this something that you guys are going to try to utilize? Do you think that you would ever get down and dirty on some AI music? If you guys ever watch the GPU Technology Conference from NVIDIA, all the music that was done for their series, even though people were playing them, it was all made by AI just for this. The female voices, the female voice that's in some of these videos is AI. So I mean, it's not like they're not implementing this, guys. It's out there already. It's coming to you. what are you going to do about it? Is this something that you're going to integrate in your life with open arms, or are you going to be a little resistant like I am? Let me know in the comments down below, guys. And while you're down there, guys, smash that Lizzie like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe. Share this video with one other person. That helps me grow my channel and helps get all this great knowledge out to all of you guys. And again, if you guys want to check out the videos, the links are always down below for all the stuff that I reference. And I'll definitely see you all. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot one other thing before that. This is the performance levels. That's Volta, the V100, TN, T8, and then the big line right here. That's the Ampere 100 Sparse NT8. We have a huge difference. I mean, you can see all the performance levels of all of them, Volta versus Ampere. So, I mean, did we just break Moore's law and overcome that? Don't know. It's going to be interesting times. And this stuff is going to be good at cryptology. Cryptography. Blah, blah, blah. Cryptography is what I was looking for. So you're talking about, being able to play in the crypto space. I want to know how it mines. I really do. I want to know how many hash can this throw down onto any one of the algorithms. Considering that these are technically like a GPU, I know that you can use AWS, which is Amazon Web Server, for mining on it. They don't like it, but you can do it. So it'll be very interesting. If anybody out there gets one of these, please, just for me, even if you don't show anybody anything, show me. How does it hash? I want to know. And how much power usage is it when it's under full load? That'll be so interesting, And with that kind of interesting stuff, I'll leave you on that. Drop some comments in down below. What's your thought on all this AI? Is this the beginning of the end of man having to work? Let me know. Comments down below. With that, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.